Okay, perfect. So before I pass this off to our moderators, we just want to give a brief introduction of what Superposition Toronto is, which is the organization behind this event. So Superposition Toronto is a nonprofit dedicated to bridging the gender gap in STEM, and we do this through hosting a variety of opportunities just to give girls a better insight into what STEM fields look like. So this uni panel is our fourth annual panel where we just invite a bunch of speakers to share their experiences. And so on behalf of everyone on the team, we just wanted to give a sincere and genuine thank you to all the panelists for taking time out of their busy schedules to come here today and to share your experiences with all of us and all of our attendees. So we just wanted to say thank you so much again. And before I pass this off to Bernice and Tara, who will be our two main panel moderators today, if we could just have all the panelists give a brief introduction to themselves, their university, their program, what year they're in, and maybe like a fun fact, that would be great. And we can start in any order, so whoever wants to go first.
Oh, I can go first. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a junior at Harvard studying bioengineering. Um, yes, was that all you? Oh, and a fun fact. I really don't like cinnamon.
I can go next. Hi everyone, I'm Phoenix. I'm also a junior. I'm studying molecular and cellular biology. And fun fact, I horseback ride.
Uh, Hi, so I guess I'll do introduction next. So hi, my name is Cici, and I'm a third year student at University of Waterloo. I study software engineering, and I guess a fun fact will be, I live at Regina before, so yeah, in Saskatchewan. So
I'll go next. My name is Allison. I'm in first year health sciences at McMaster University. And a fun fact is that I really love my dog.
I guess I can go. Hi everyone, my name is Jenny and I'm currently in my first year at Waterloo for CS and BBA. And a fun fact about myself is that I know how to crochet and make wire wrap jewelry.
I can go next. My name is Tiorka. I'm in my first year at Queen's Health Sciences. And a fun fact is I somehow got on an intermediate pickleball team, and I've never played it before. And our first tournament is next weekend, so wish me luck.
Okay, so I guess that's all the introduction. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. Then, then now we can begin with our general questions. So our first question is, why did you choose to attend your university or program? And particularly, what makes your program unique from the others?
Okay, so I guess we can go kind of in order of like a panelist. If you really want to answer a question, just raise up your hand. So I guess we'll ask this question first to Tirka.
Yeah, so just to repeat, I'm attending Queen's Health Sciences. And my big reason was I first decided that I wanted to, study a health sciences degree. Sorry. And if you're considering health sciences, your two main like contenders might be McMaster or Queen's. I also know they have it at Ottawa and Waterloo recently. And I decided Queen's specifically because they have like a blended learning model where you have like modules that you do before class, and then class time is purely some sort of like active recall session. Incorporating group work. And I really enjoy this because I learn so much better when I'm like working independently, and it really allows you to do that. And the modules are also designed really well. So that was a good fit for me. But I know if you're someone who like really enjoys like listening to like a lecture, you might want to decide against Queen's Health Sci. Um, the decision to like study health sciences, like it's very much different from a life sci degree where there's a lot more like hard sciences. In health sci, a lot of it incorporates more like the social science aspect of health too. Like we have classes on the social determinants of health and the ethics and history of health. And I found that really interesting. And I think if you're interested in pursuing like a medical career in the future, where understanding those aspects of health is also very important for working in healthcare. So that's really interesting. And I think the benefits are also the campus itself. I definitely didn't take this as a big factor when I was making my decision, but now that I am in this position, I'm like so grateful for the environment that is like Queen's University. It's like a beautiful camp. Sorry, it's a beautiful. I'm just recovering from an illness right now, but it's a beautiful campus. Like everyone is like super friendly, super social. Yeah, I really love it here.
Thank you so much for that answer. That was great. Okay. Is there anyone else who'd like to answer?
I can answer. Okay, so hello. Again, to recap, my name is Jenny, and I'm currently doing a double degree for computer science at the University of Waterloo and also a BBA at Wilfrid Laurier University. So I guess the most unique thing about my program is that it's offered jointly by two universities. So I'm currently a full-time student at both Waterloo and Wilfrid Laurier. So that makes the whole experience very unique and interesting. And if I'm being honest, mainly I did choose this degree because of the computer science aspect, but I have always been interested in the business, so I thought this was a very unique opportunity to pursue. And I think one of the best things about this program is that you get a really like big sense of community because of how unique the experience is. Like you get this whole group of people around you who are double degree, and you have this thing that you can talk about that only people in the degree would understand.
Thank you so much for that answer. Sissy, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure, thank you. So, quick recap. My name is Sissy, and I'm studying software engineering at University of Waterloo currently. So I'm currently third year, and the main reason I think I choose my program. So I think it's a very common thing people deciding between CS and SC. When you choose like come to Waterloo, you probably are choosing between those two programs. I'll say those two programs, they all have their own specializations. They all have their own like their strengths. Like the reason I chose software engineering is because I thought I didn't get to got to like try many hardware courses when I was at high school, so I wasn't sure if I'm interested at it. So that's why I choose software engineering because it's actually a program offered by both the math faculty and the engineering faculty. So I get the chance to take the math courses and CS courses that the CS program students take, and also some hardware like circuits, like those courses that engineering students take. So I was kind of want to leave a door open for myself to just try to see if I like hardware or things like that. So I guess I think that's what makes the SC very unique is that you're like I mentioned, you're learning a lot from both the CS side of the of Waterloo and also the engineering side. And also maybe you have heard that like we have a lot of required courses. So at the end of the day, you will have kind of a big idea of like kind of from hardware to software to everything, how your laptop works.
中间买的口音很重。
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I think someone is unmuted. So I think that's the big thing of I'll say that's the unique part of SE is that you get to both take the courses CSP or CS program take as well as the engineering courses, and that give you a chance to know kind of what you actually want to do. Another big reason is that I thought as for SE we're gonna focus more on the system side. So like I mentioned, you learn like from like hardware up to like software, you learn all the aspect of software, so you kind of have a system view of of what's happening. So I would say that's a big difference compared to maybe like you choose CS and you can specialize in CS or in very like one specialized field. So that's the well I see. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that answer. Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to share their answer for this question?
I could talk a little bit. So I'm Michelle. I'm a rising junior. I study bioengineering at Harvard. One of the like big things that I really like about Harvard's bioengineering program is that you can really tailor the program to what you're interested in. And so I think like bioengineering is like a really broad field. Like some people are more into like the robotics, prosthetics, more of like the building component of it, and other people like me are more interested in like the cellular engineering and the MCB side of things. And so at Harvard, I think there's so many different tracks within the bioengineering field that you can potentially go and fix it and go and pick that. It makes, I think, your 4 years a lot more focused and in depth on like very small and niche topics rather than just trying to like take a bunch of like classes that like kind of bounce everywhere where you don't really have like a good understanding. I know like we offer like a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Science for the degree. And like the difference is that you can either choose like bioengineering, which is more of like biology and then like a little bit of engineering, or you can choose like in like bioengineering, like focusing on the engineering with just like a few bio components, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who'd like to reply before we move on? Okay, let's move on to the second question. What are some time management or studying tips you can share which helped you in your program? All right, let's begin again. Let's begin this time with, let's see, Sissy, if you wouldn't mind beginning this.
Oh, sure. Yeah, thank you. So I would say definitely coming to university is a big challenge. The first thing my director told me, like first day of university, is that 50% of you gonna be the bottom 50%. That's like math. So it's definitely very challenging to when you come from high school to university. So but don't be afraid of the gap. It's definitely like you will develop your own study habit and your study skill along the way. So I will say some time management skill that really helped me was um for find like actually it's really like find your own study habit. So first start assignment really early. I think like many when you come to university, even in high school, many people will tell you like start assignment early, be prepared. So I think that's a very useful thing, and also prioritize things. So it's not possible that you did perfect in every single thing. So if something is worth 2% and something worth 30%, focus on the 30%. Like 2% you can just make it down and get something. And lastly, I'll say, like I mentioned, like it's what important is finding your own habit. I know there's like a saying, I forgot the name for the way of studying, but they're saying like some people do is like 25 minutes studying, 10 minutes break, 5 minutes break or something, and then 25 minutes studying. So many people saying, oh, this is very useful, this is very good. But personally, I just really found that doesn't work for me. Like when I start something, I want to work it, I want to get it down instead of like every 25 minutes, I take a break. So I kind of like develop my own study habit based on like task oriented. So like I done one task, then I take a break and then like prepare myself for the next task. So I think that's definitely something to keep in mind is that you have your own way. So not what works for everyone will work for you. So I will definitely recommend like try different ways, find what works the best for you, and also prioritize what should be prioritized, because like it's impossible to get perfect in everything in university. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that answer. Allison, would you like to go next?
Yeah, of course. So something that I found really helpful was personally making a spreadsheet. I know a lot of people use like Notion or whatever, but honestly, as long as you have some sort of methodology that works for you where you can easily lay things out. One reason why I'm not super geared towards Notion is because I feel like personally there's a lot of effort that I have to put on to kind of make sure and maintain that kind of system.
I use Google Calendar and I track all my classes, all my upcoming events, all my deadlines on that. And then I have a separate spreadsheet to keep track of, my assignments and smaller components, such as like daily tasks or interviews or whatnot. I think a lot of things that people tell me when coming to university is that tests or projects or assignments tend to creep up on them. But since I have it laid out on my spreadsheet and on my calendar, I can just super easily see it all visually laid out, and that really helps for me. And in terms of learning and acquiring knowledge during the actual lectures, I think that it's really, oh, at the beginning of the year, I tried pre-reading all my lectures. And while it did help when I came into having like that understanding while the professor was talking, really the learning that you're going to get is during that actual lecture. This is still something that I'm trying to combat myself, but it's super important that you're paying attention and actually absorbing that information, using those TA office hours, whatever, going in to ask, because ultimately a lot of the learning and retaining that you'll do is from talking with your professors or talking with your TAs. And on top of it, it's important that you return back to that information later on. So not as much as pre-reading it, but post-reading, making sure that when you're going through the material, once again, you can pull things from the lecture and say, like, I'm able to understand this concept. Just on the topic of speaking to your professors and TAs, they're really not as scary as you may think, even though you're going from having 30 people in a classroom to one teacher to now around like 300. It's super important that you just reach out to them and talk to them, because you're really not losing anything by taking that opportunity to just like have a chat with them about anything.
And I said, oh my gosh.
Sorry, please mute your mics. Thank you. Sorry for that interruption.
All right. I was just about done. Just making sure that you're really putting yourself out there in order to study and really acquire that knowledge. You really don't lose anything, and it's just like, you miss all the shots that you don't take. So
Yeah, that's a great answer. Before we move on to the next question, Phoenix, would you also like to answer this one?
Sure, yeah. Okay, personally for me, my studying habits are like pretty erratic. I I think for me it's just like what works well for you. Like genuinely for me, I will cram the exam like 3 days before, and like that's worked for me. Also, like it's based on the type of courses that you're taking as well. So I think like honestly what I've learned is that like a lot of people like say Pomodoro is like really good, or like Cornell notes, like there's like always a lot of like study habit like trends that will go around that will make you like really motivated and be like, oh my God, like once you like do this, like you're gonna get an automatic A. But I think like the reality of the fact is like you really need to find what works for yourself. And just like obviously like you can experiment and like try all of those things. And if like the Pomodoro method does work for you, like great, stick with that. But I think studying is really based on like who you are as a person, understanding like what works for you, like how like what you enjoy doing, and then implementing that and see if that's effective in your studying schedule.
Thank you for that. All right, I'm going to pass it on to Bernice for the next question.
Yep, for your next question, what advice would you give to students applying to your program to help them stand out? Like, for example, for the supplementary application, online interviews, or description of extracurricular activities. Since I believe most of you guys require a supplementary application for your program, so any tips on that would be helpful. So for this one, Michelle, would you like to share first?
Sure. I think one thing that I really had to like get myself out of like the mentality when I was crafting my application is to try to just show, I guess, like the reader as many things that I've done in high school. And I think that's honestly like a not a great approach. I think the way that you should think about it is think of who you are as a person and maybe categorize things together. And so for me, so I study bioengineering, so I love STEM, but I also danced on the side and I really liked writing. And I did do a lot of things outside those bubbles as well, but I felt like those three were like the strongest things that I had to incorporate into my application. And so instead of just like kind of jumbling them all together, I think I approached each supplemental question trying to bring some sort of like story or narrative out of each thing that I do. And I think that's a very good way to approach things just because I think at the end of the day, like when a college like admissions, like individuals like reading your essay, they're not really trying to see like how great you are at like doing one or two things or how well you do in school, because the idea is that the students that they accept should have the potential to continue like growing and blossoming in college. And I think all you have to really show them is that you have like some sort of intellectual vitality and are someone that is passionate about what you do.
Okay, thank you so much for that answer. And Tirka, would you like to go next?
Yeah, for sure. A bit about the Clean Health Site application, it really doesn't ask for much. I'm not sure if it's changed this year, but part of it is your grades, and then the supplementary application will be two questions. One will be written and one will be video. Again, this might have changed, so don't take my word as an absolute. My advice would be just kind of think about some of the things you did in high school, why you did them. And you can definitely do some prep work for this. What are some like lessons you learned? Maybe like prepare a few answers so you have practice like articulating what you do, because this is like timed. In my experience, it wasn't something where you had like a long time to do. I think it was like 10 minutes and you have to write down your answer. And what that makes it harder to do is stand out. So I think also something that I did is I wasn't really into writing, and writing wasn't one of my strong suits. So like preparing for this assessment, I did like read up on like how to write something captive like in a way that was engaging for someone to read. And there's like a variety of resources where you can find on the internet, just because it is 10 minutes. A lot of other high school students have like similar experiences, and it is really hard to stand out. And just being eloquent can give you that like upper leg. And I know like sometimes that does feel unfair. You're like, I'm applying to a program related to health sciences. Like, why am I being evaluated on these other things? But these other things really do affect your ability to stand out. And then in terms of the video interview, really same thing. Also just like practice based on questions you think they might ask, because Queen's Healthside, they released the rubric of how they're like marking your assessments. And based on that, you kind of can gauge what type of questions they're going to ask. My question was about like I believe like initiative and like and then my second question was about like how would you create like an inclusive group environment. So it's very like standard and something you can definitely prepare for. And the second thing is also don't get like flustered or freak out if you like go over like you don't finish your sentence or you get cut off in the video. They understand that like the virtual assessment is often like the first time for many people, and they're more holistically looking for the message in your application. And then the last thing is understand that it is kind of there is a level of luck and things that are out of your control, especially with the Queen's Health application, because they're looking at so little. It's two like very broad questions that not really asking too much about you. So, do your best. Don't fixate on it, and hopefully everything will work out.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And maybe for Jenny, would you like to give some advice?
Sure. So I would say that it's also important when you're filling out these kind of supplementary applications to look at kind of like the nature of the school that you're applying to, like kind of like what style of grading they might be leaning towards. Personally, for like Waterloo Mass, they care about their mass contest, but they give very little character limits to your extracurriculars. And if I'm being honest, I feel like they don't really care that much about those. So you might want to spend more time when you're filling out these supplementaries, like thinking about, well, like maybe studying for mass contest instead of doing all of these other maybe like leadership style extracurriculars. Um, yeah, honestly, just make sure you know who you're trying to communicate to so you can tailor it.
Okay, thank you so much for that as well. And does anyone, oh, Ceci, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, thank you. So sorry, I want to answer just because like I know Waterloo have an AIF and it's very different between the math faculty and the engineering faculty. So I want to say if you want to apply to Waterloo engineering, definitely math competition is a factor, but it's not that important. So they look at your AIF more if you want to apply to Waterloo engineering. And I will say, uh I got like CS and engineering. I got both of them, and but my math competition marks are not that good. So I feel like if you really like fail your test, don't just like, oh my God, we're not gonna have me, and don't even apply. So I feel even if you fail your test, not fail, but like if you do not that good in the competition, just like don't talk about it in your application, things like that. So I feel definitely, especially if you're definitely like Jenny said, like if you're applying to math faculty, I think they do look at your competition and your top six, like so your school marks more. But if you're applying to engineering, I think apply some like work, really spend some time on your AIF, and I think like show your passion, like why do you want to come to like Waterloo engineering? I think they ask question like that. So I felt definitely like show your passion, show why you want to like do engineering at Waterloo, as well as like kind of what is your personality, like what makes you a good fit for it. So I think those are definitely something you still can take into consideration. I think Waterloo had engineering has a video interview as well. So I believe in that interview I didn't do really good too. So I felt like just like try your best, like show yourself, like show who you are, show what you want to talk about. I felt those are kind of important. And lastly, for both I think SE and CS, they will be kind of happy to see if you have some coding experiences. So if you have grade 11 or grade 12 coding classes offered in your high school, or you have some club, I'll definitely recommend to like join them and maybe have some CS projects that you can talk about in your AIF or in your application. But I definitely know many people who don't have coding experience and get into those two programs. So I feel definitely I think like, do what you like and like show your passion. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to answer?
I can go, just because I think like I have a unique perspective being Canadian and applying to the US. I think it was a lot different, in the sense where I think that like for American universities, like for the Common App, it's very essential that like you do tell a story. And yeah, so like it's pretty essential that you do tell a story. And I think like for me, again, like I also wasn't that good at like writing. Like I'd never written like for the Common App essays before like starting. And I think like what really helped me was literally just like writing so many drafts of the essays that like you eventually like get a flow of like what you want to say. Like you have a common theme throughout like all of those secondary like supplemental applications. You have your like main 3 points, like three like unique like soft skill characters that you really want to show the admissions officers. And you do that through like telling like key stories. And what you also want to make sure that like every sentence that you put onto that page serves a purpose. So like either it's like building onto your story or like showing your character trait. Um, but I do think that for the US, like they are trying to like utilize your essays to like build a character, like build a personality, because they are looking for a specific genre of students. I found that like what you wrote in your essays really does reflect upon the student population. And so you want to find those key characteristics that you think are very admirable and that admissions officers would like to see, and try to build a story around that and display your character around that.
Perfect, thank you so much. And finally, Allison, would you like to add on?
Yeah, so one thing that I would say about the admissions process is that you shouldn't, specifically for McMaster Health Science, you shouldn't really be talking about like your extracurriculars or flexing kind of those same kind of accolades that are commonly seen in more objective applications, such as I know Waterloo is a lot more technical and having a lot of soft and hard skills that you can apply. Like Phoenix said, a lot of the things that they're looking for reflect the student body, and I thought that was really insightful what she said. Because in a lot of these like health science programs or somewhat health oriented, they're looking more for not necessarily the mark that you're getting, because realistically anyone can work hard to get that mark, right? What makes a candidate truly unique is being able to have these certain like characteristics and personality traits, such as being compassionate and having empathy and showing leadership. Specifically for McMaster Health Sciences, it's such a short application process. It's only 250 words around, I think around 2,000 characters per response. And that's why every word that you say should really matter and it should really resonate with you. If you are intending on talking about extracurriculars, such as like your DECA or HOSA experience, for example, though those are typically really good buzzwords that for other programs, it may not be as well received here because they're trying to get who you are as a character. If you can somehow find some way to integrate that in a very personal manner, that's good because they want to see how self-reflective you are and how interpersonal you are and how you're able to take different aspects of your life and make it all become meaningful. But if you're otherwise just putting in these extracurriculars, sorry, for the sake of letting them know that you've had this kind of accomplishment, it won't be very well received on the other end. So when I came to this program and I was talking to different people, we were discussing our application processes, everyone kind of followed through with the same kind of, we all talked about something that was super, super personal to us. So really try and focus and make sure that your voice is being heard. You know, don't be afraid of revising it many times and restarting because if it doesn't feel like it's resonating with you, then it may not resonate with the officers that are reading your admissions.
Thank you so much for your answer. Okay, for our last question, do you have any advice? Advice relating to forming relationships or networking in university? All right. Should we begin with Michelle, if you'd like to begin?
Sure. I think going to office hours is just in general like a really good opportunity to meet people in your classes and like in your major. I also think like a lot of majors will host like department specific events, whether that's like meet and greets with like upperclassmen, alumni, or just like different individuals within the department. And I always think that those are like really good opportunities just to talk, see what they're doing, maybe ask them about their internships, what they plan on doing after like college. I also think you can approach it like as like a making friends type of environment as well. Um, I think I think one thing that I will just caution about is that I do think some people tend to come off a little bit more transactional during networking, and I would just advise you to stay away from that. I think the purpose of networking is less to try to open doors and get opportunities, and while that is something that might happen, I think what's more important is that you're opening your eyes and opening your mind up to what you could potentially do later down the road.
Thank you so much for that answer. Tierka, would you like to answer next?
Yeah, I think to begin with more of the like relationship building, I think part of that, if you're interested in a health science versus life science program, like class size does matter. Like for example, in my classes, a lot of it is like in a bit of like a smaller group. You're with like 8 other people, and a lot of it is like active sessions. So I'm able to like make friends in classes a lot easier than if it was like a lecture hall, for example. And I think the second thing about just like transition into university in your first year, what I've learned from like my 2 months here is just to be like very authentic in the way you're like presenting yourself. And then you'll find like a crowd of people who are similar. And that's honestly like the best way to find people you want around you. And then in terms of networking, yeah, I really like what Michelle said about like not trying to see it as transactional because that's something I really did enjoy about attending these networking events because it seemed like you just like have a conversation, you exchange LinkedIn's and it's done, but rather just like try to meet people, understand what they're doing, understand why they're doing, and like maybe you'll connect on a few things and build like genuine relationships. Tell them about like what you're working on and what you're interested in, and if they do like come across something that they think you might be a good fit for, there's like this authentic way of like passing on opportunities. And yeah, and I think just like don't think about it too much as like I need to talk to this many people, I need to get this, but just be natural and try to understand other people and understand what they're doing.
Thank you so much for that. Is there anyone else who'd like to answer this question? Okay, I'm gonna pass it on to Bernice then to wrap up the main panel.
Okay, yeah, so that's basically the end of our main panel. So for our guest speakers, please state if you are also a part of our breakout room sessions. And otherwise, feel free to leave your contact info in the chat if you're comfortable in case anyone has questions. And so now we'll be beginning our breakout room sessions where we will be joined by another batch of speakers and you guys can ask questions directly. And so the three rooms will be first engineering and physics, second computer science and math, and third general science including health science, life science, biology, etc. And so feel free to join any of the rooms and you're also welcome to switch to another room if you are interested in more than one of them. So right now I'm gonna let in some of the guest speakers and open up the breakout rooms.
Oh, and Michelle, if you'd like to just quickly answer Richard's question, I think that's also fine.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna read the question real quick.
Wait, sorry, not Michelle, Allison. Sorry, guys, I can't read. Oh wait, no, yes, Michelle. I can't read. Part 3.
Oh, okay. So one thing that I did, the way that I structured a lot of my essays was I would begin the supplement with like an anecdote about like maybe a personal, like a passion, what drives a specific passion, something that I did that allowed me to build onto the passion. So usually like some sort of high school activity. And then in the conclusion, I would not like summarize, but I would discuss in the future if I was at school, what I would do to continue this or what I wanted to do with the activity. So I think a good way to think about it is past, present, and then like future. I can also leave my email if you want to reach out and then I can like show you some of my essays and stuff.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so by the way, I have opened up the breakout rooms. So whether if you're a guest speaker or a participant, feel free to join your respective breakout rooms or any of them that you're interested in. So as for how do you join a breakout room, I believe there's an option to join at the bottom of the screen. I'm not sure if you're aware, but click on breakout rooms and then there should be 3 options. Hi, for everyone who just joined, we are doing breakout room sessions right now, so feel free to join your respective breakout rooms or the ones that you're interested in. Okay, so you should have an option to join breakout rooms at the bottom of your screen. You should see breakout rooms, and then when you click on it, there should be 3 options to join.
with Natalia. I completely agree with Natalia and Marcus's answers as well there, but I think balance is really important.